Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 30-year veteran writer, illustrator, and editor of comic, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. And today is March 18th, 2022, and we have a question that's carried over from someone else's podcast, Comics by Perch. Someone brought the same question to me, basically. So let's go ahead and talk about this. And that question is, do you think that fans can really affect change in the market? I mean, when a new series gets listed with a new character, say Nubia at DC, for example, couldn't fans generate such a demand that it shoots that book up to the #1 sales spot? Theoretically, yes, that can happen. But is that really affecting change in the market? No, it's not. In order to affect change in a comics market, you have to have sustainability as well as growth. When you have a book that shoots up for #1, you got to remember that the retailers are ordering fewer and fewer numbers through attrition with each consecutive issue. So if you want a book to be at the #1 spot, it can't just be there for 1 month. It needs to stay up there in the top 1, top 5, top 10, whatever, consistently, which means you have to constantly promote and market the book. This is why books like Batman, Superman, the Marvel and DC events, the XMen, SpiderMan, these franchises that have multiple books are perpetually marketed by the publishers and by your retailer to keep them up there at that level so that they have sustainability. They can't do that for every single title that is produced by the publishers. In other words, I can't take this Captain America book that's being solicited right now in the brand new Marvel catalog, Symbol of Truth, with the Sam Wilson version of Captain America. Okay, this is a fine book. I don't know what could possibly necessarily be wrong with it. If you want to promote the Black Captain America, I have no problem with that. Sam Wilson's a cool character, but that's up to the fan to generate buzz for that character so that the retailer knows to market it as well. And now this is, March for May. So you have to do the marketing for it now. You have to go to your store and talk about this book. Hey, did you guys see this book advertisement for Captain America #1, Symbol of Truth? And find out more about this book. Find out about who Tochi Onobuchi and R.B. Silva are. And, see if there's artwork on the internet promoting this book. Let's see what the ad is here. Okay, I got a little bit of a thing here. 2 different covers, and then here's some of the interior. This is okay. Talk about it. Now when I say talk about it, don't mock it. Don't be negative. If you want to promote something, be positive. And it's okay if people don't agree with you. Everybody's got different tastes. Everybody's going to have different opinions, and that's fine. But that is what has to be done. It has to be done now, not in May when the book is already out on the shelves, because those orders have already been made now. The print run's already been done. And therefore, you're dealing with a situation where maybe you might sell out of whatever the print run is and they go back for a second printing or a third printing, maybe. But if we do it now and talk about it now, when it's being solicited, that generates the buzz so that instead of having to go back 2 or 3 times for the printer and having to wait for books to be shipped to the retailer and wait, instead of having like a 30 or 40,000 print run, you might have a 90 to 100,000 print run. And then you start to promote next month for #2 and #3. Okay. Now, the thing is with doing this, and this was a lot easier back when comics were more affordable than they are today, is you have to be able to set it up so that your customers and you yourselves as fans aren't buying issue number 1, reading it, and then saying, well, I'll trade wait. Because again, the more attrition from each individual issue, the less prone it is to be something that's going to sustain itself. You don't want to wait for the trade and then say, well, the trade sold well. It's almost too late by that point. So that is something that if you want to make the needle move, that's how you make the needle move. This is the same thing with independent comics. You see a lot of people talking a lot about the crowdfunding, the underground scene, the Comicsgate scene, whatever you want to call it, the online comic sales. Everybody's promoting each other's campaigns at the same time, and you're hearing buzz all the time online. Now, if people did that for all the books that they read through their comic book stores, a lot of people would have a lot more sales than they do. If they did that regularly in comic book stores, if you did that regularly through your social media channels on Facebook, TikTok, your own YouTube channel, whatever you may happen to use, a lot of us wouldn't necessarily have to go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo to be successful. Because keep in mind, a lot of these books that are going to crowdfunding are doing so because they weren't being successful in the diamond market, because they couldn't break through that glass ceiling where the retailers were going to market them. Because am I going to market a book that's a standalone series, no matter who the creator is? Am I going to promote Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog, knowing it's only one book, and know that could potentially take away sales from my SpiderMan titles? Well, I got 11 SpiderMan titles. I could lose money on 11 different books versus the sales of one. They're not going to promote Cyberfrog. They're going to stick to their Spider-Man. So if you want to build that, you have to do that yourselves. Now, that's a very difficult proposition today, given that comics are in the $4 to $7 range a lot of times. I get it. It's not like it was when books were affordable at the $150, $2 range, where we could buy multiple copies ourselves and give them to friends, or we could buy multiple copies and just put them in places where people could find them, like the laundromat or a dentist's office or whatever. That's something I used to do all the time back in the 90s, and this is how I promoted books like Bone, like Strangers in Paradise, like Love and Rockets, like Hellboy, different books like that over all the time. I used to do this. Can't do it at $4 or $5 a book. It's too expensive. That's what YouTube is for. And that's what this channel was always about when I started it 3 years ago. If you go back and you look at the archives of the books I'm reviewing, some of the themes I talked about, I try to dispel the myths about what doesn't sell and why. And the reason I did that was to let you guys know that, yes, there are books for kids. There are books for women. There are books for the LGBTQ community. There are books for minorities such as Blacks or Asian Americans or Native Americans. That is part of our overall whole. That is something that is another way to make a change and affect change in the market. But I can't do that just me, myself alone. Yes, I can get that out there to you guys who watch the show. But then when you watch the show, if you see something that I'm talking about that you like, share it. Share it with other people. They'll share it with other people who will share it with other people. Then that's how you affect change in the market. Now, you're going to have some resistance to that, because even back in the 90s, I used to get resistance from retailers. They used to fight with me over my promoting Bone or my promoting Hellboy or other titles, because inevitably what's going to happen is, especially if you do it in the comic shops, is you're going to address people who are talking negatively about the books they're purchasing. And you're going to say, hey, if you're not happy with that book, why don't you put that book down and try something else? And that's something that the retailers should be doing anyway, but a lot of retailers don't. And they get frustrated because, again, if you promote something else, it's a standalone title, it doesn't have a bunch of books that are connected to one another, isn't an event that makes them buy a bunch of books, the retailer may feel threatened that they're going to lose money. You have to break this mentality, both within the fan community and within the retail community. That will affect change in the market. That's my opinion. So if you may agree, you may disagree, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate you all watching the channel. If you have questions or comments that you want to share off the channel, reach out to me at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A. Later tonight at 8 p.m., we'll be back with Quoth the Raven Friday night movie TV discussion. And tonight, I and my co-host John Figueroa Norris will be discussing Alan Moore's 2020 movie, The Show, directed by Mitch Jenkins. And that's going to be an interesting conversation. That is tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. As always, I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, or you think someone else might, I'd really appreciate it if you would hit the share, like, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from my channel. As always, once again, thank you for watching and for your support. If you have other things you want to reach out to me for, reach out to me on Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, at Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2. You can see some of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. For more content, make sure you check out other videos at Quoth Raven, Lewis BrightRaven on YouTube. Again, if you have ask a question or you want to maybe commission artwork, quothravenlbr72@gmail.com is the place to reach me. And if I don't get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. That's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later tonight. Have a great day.